In this video, we shall learn about the Basic Life Support 2020 algorithm, which is meant for infants and for children, and it is a must know for all the healthcare providers. Rather, every layperson should also know this. So, basic life support is the basic minimum medical support which is required for giving to a victim with cardiac arrest. You know there are three things which are important in this. First, it is required to be given to a person who is usually unresponsive. Second thing is that it can be given by anyone, whether or not he is a doctor, a nurse, or a healthcare provider. And the third thing is that it can be done anywhere. You don't need a hospital to perform this basic life support. There are four essential skills which are required to provide this basic life support, which you will see eventually in this video and another video, the link of which I have given below. First is chest compressions. Second thing is maintaining the airway, opening the airway of the victim and allowing him to breathe. Providing him rescue breaths from outside, that is artificial breaths because he is not able to take his own breath spontaneously. And the last is defibrillation. Defibrillation is provided with the help of a medical instrument referred to as defibrillator. It converts abnormal cardiac rhythms to normal. Not all rhythms can be converted to normal. Suppose you've been asked to attend a child who has become unresponsive in a building which has caught fire or where floods have occurred like recently. Then what will you do is that you must first ensure the scene where you are performing this basic life support, it is safe for you, for the child, and the place for the process of providing BLS. The second thing is that you must check three things in the child. First is consciousness, second is breathing, and third is color of the child. These three things assessed are referred to as initial assessment of the child. So the child is suppose unresponsive. An unresponsive child you encounter, the first thing you do is that you call for help. Either you shout so that you may get someone to help you, or you may use your cell phone to do so. There can be two things further on. Either the pulse of the child is more than 60 per minute, or the pulse of the child is less than 60 per minute. Now suppose the pulse of the child is more than 60 per minute but the child is unresponsive. There can again be two scenarios. First thing is that the child does not have any breathing or his breathing pattern is abnormal. In that case, you may need to provide rescue breaths to the child. Now, rescue breaths can be provided by putting your mouth and creating a seal with the patient's mouth and providing the breath, or covering the mouth of the patient with a mask and then providing breath through your mouth to mask breaths. Or the third thing is that if you have some certain medical equipment available with you, then you can place a mask over the nose and the face or mouth of the child and provide it with using an ambu bag. So these are the three methods by which you can provide rescue breaths. Rescue breaths are to immediately rescue the child out of the danger of hypoxemia. Or the other scenario can be the child is unresponsive, his pulse is more than 60 per minute, but he has having effective breathing. In that case, you just have to monitor the child, place him in a recovery position and support the breathing if at all it is required. If required, you may give oxygen and all if available. The second scenario is that the pulse is less than 60 per minute. You have to immediately start providing high quality CPR. CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It comprises of mainly two things. First is chest compressions and next is breath. So you have to provide compressions of the chest or chest massage as it is said in common terms, and you have to provide breaths along with it. Now, chest compression is to breath ratio. If you are alone, you are the single rescuer, then you have to do 30 chest compressions at a time and then provide 2 breaths and then provide 30 compressions again. But suppose you have someone to help you, that is, there are 2 rescuers, then you need to do 15 chest compressions, give 2 breaths and again do 15 chest compressions. And use an automated external defibrillator. Defibrillator is the device I told you which is required for converting abnormal cardiac rhythms which are shockable to normal cardiac rhythms in due course. So use it as early as it is available, and when prompted, give an electrical shock. The details you may see in another video, which I have the link of which I provided in the link description below. So as soon as you provide electrical shock, you must resume CPR immediately and keep performing it for 2 minutes, and then use AED further after analyzing whether or not the cardiac rhythm is shockable or not. So this is the basic algorithm which you have to follow while providing basic life support to any person. Now there are some general considerations, which you must keep in mind while especially performing BLS, and especially it is very important when you appear in the exam for certification for this BLS program. So if the child has become unresponsive in front of you, that is, you have witnessed his unresponsiveness and you are alone, then you have an option of leaving the victim for some time. First, activate the emergency response system implies that you must first call for help and then start the CPR. But if it is unwitnessed, that is, when you reach a place and you find that the child is unresponsive lying over there, you must immediately initiate CPR first, do it for 2 minutes, and then move on to call for help. Another important point is that pulse check. What are the pulses which we need to check in different age groups? Suppose it is an infant, we need to check the brachial pulse of the baby because the neck is small, and checking the carotid pulse may lead to another kinds of other dangers. In children who are more than 1 year of age, you can check either the carotid or the femoral pulses, both of which are central pulses. Now, airway opening maneuvers. You have to open the airway of the victim. It can be a jaw thrust maneuver in a patient whom you suspect to have head and neck injury, for example, in a mass casualty, in a road traffic accident, a school bus accident. You suspect the child may have some head or neck injury. You simply use the jaw thrust maneuver as depicted in the picture, in which you have to provide only the thrust on the angle of the mandible without moving the cervical spine. And the second maneuver is head tilt chin lift maneuver in children who do not have any head or neck injury. You can see in the picture here, it is the head is tilted and the chin is lifted. It may involve some movement of the cervical spine. The rate of rescue breaths is also very important. We saw in the algorithm there that if the victim is unresponsive but his pulse is good and his breathing is abnormal or it is absent, then you have to provide rescue breaths by the 3 methods I told you: mouth to mask, or bag and mask. In that case, there has to be a certain rate in which you have to give these rescue breaths. So if an advanced airway has not been put and you are providing only the basic life support, then you have to provide one breath every 3 to 5 seconds. That is a total of 12 to 20 breaths per minute. But suppose you have been able to place an advanced airway, as you will see in the PALS algorithms I will discuss in subsequent videos, you have to give one breath every 6 seconds, that is approximately 10 breaths per minute. Now we come on to chest compressions. As you see in this video, high quality chest compressions have basically 6 characteristics. The first thing is that you must push hard and push fast. This is also asked in your BLS exam. And this is the main practical skill which you are asked to demonstrate. Push hard means you have to ensure that you push the lower third of the sternum to an adequate depth. What is this adequate depth? This adequate depth is up to approximately 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters in infants, and it is 2 inches or 5 centimeters in children who are more than 1 year of age. Push fast. Push fast means that you have to provide at least 100 to 120 chest compressions in 1 minute. Then you have to allow complete chest recoil, because when you provide the compressions, the heart is in a phase of systole, and when you allow chest recoil, the heart is in a phase of diastole. And diastole is very important for cardiac relaxation so that further pumping of blood is possible. So allowing complete chest recoil is very, very important. The newbies, they often make mistake in this. They, in an attempt to provide 100 to 120 compressions per minute, they just provide these compressions incessantly without allowing complete chest recoil, and this may impair adequate resuscitation of the child. You must minimize interruptions as well. Then, and simultaneously, you must avoid hyperventilation when you are providing rescue breaths along with chest compressions, because hyperventilation will again lead to impaired return of blood to the heart. Now, interchange of roles in two rescue CPR should be done after every 10 cycles of CPR, that is approximately 2 minutes, taking 5 and not more than 10 seconds in doing so. If you have a friend with you providing CPR, then chest compressions are very tiring actually. So after every 10 cycles of CPR, you must interchange the role. Suppose you are doing chest compressions, you must move on to providing rescue breaths, and the person providing rescue breaths should move on to providing chest compressions, but the process should not take more than, at a maximum it should take 10 seconds. This is what is referred to as by minimizing interruptions. It should not be taking around 30 seconds to interchange the role. So, summarizing our BLS algorithm, you have been asked to call upon a victim who is unresponsive. So, you have to check two things now. We know that we have to check three things: consciousness, breathing, and color. Now we know that the child is already unresponsive, so his consciousness is already impaired. Now you check two things: pulse and breathing. So when you check these three things, you have three scenarios. You can have three different kind of scenarios. The first scenario is that the pulse is more than 60 and the breathing is normal. That is, only one thing is impaired, that is, the child has impaired consciousness. The second scenario can be the child is unresponsive, his pulse is more than 60, but his breathing is either absent or abnormal. That is, 2 out of 3 parameters are impaired. The consciousness is impaired, and the breathing is also impaired. And the third scenario can be when all the three are impaired. The child is unresponsive, the pulse is also low, less than 60 per minute, and anyone who has a pulse rate less than 60 per minute cannot have normal breathing. So the breathing is either absent or is abnormal. So these are the three scenarios which you have to keep in mind, and you will be given in an exam to practically perform the BLS, and you might also be given a problem scenario in the cheat sheet. So in the first scenario, when the child is unresponsive, pulse is more than 60 but breathing is normal, you just have to place the child in recovery position. In the second scenario, you have to give only rescue breaths, and in the third scenario, you have to perform high quality CPR, the 6 characteristics I discussed earlier, and simultaneously provide rescue breaths along with. So this is in summary the basic life support algorithm. Now, one thing is that an important point which is often asked in infant and child BLS is that if unresponsiveness is witnessed, that is, the child has become unresponsive right in front of your eyes, then the first thing you do is that you must call for help before starting the further steps, that is, before starting pulse check and breathing check and further CPR. So, this is in short. So guys, thank you very much for a patient listening. I hope you now have clear concepts, and do stay safe. Thanks a lot.